Hi, I'm Shana Fannon, interior designer and advocate for connection. And this is Good by Design, a show about what defines us as individuals, what brings us together, and how that inspires what we create. Today, we welcome April McKellar. Hi, April, how are you?
Good, how are you doing?
I'm good. So I see we're in your sewing room today. Would love for you to share a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
So in the broadest sense of things, if someone said like, who are you or what do you do? I'd say I'm a creative, but that's very ambiguous and much too large of a term. So specifically what I do is I have two companies that I own. One where I plan events for small companies, small businesses for the most part, and nonprofits. But I also own another company where I sew and make handmade like accessories, ties, bow ties. With COVID-19, I had to start offering masks. That's what I do among a lot of other hobbies and things.
A great way to describe you as creative, because I think you're always looking for ways to solve different problems for different people. And I love the bow ties that you create and some of the other things that you create as part of your Anybody accessory line. I think the things that you create are beautiful.
That can be beautiful. I started offering a little bit more for like, women, but really for anyone. Anybody can wear whatever they
want. Gender neutral. Yeah. I mean, I think classically my inclination, like it's still ingrained in me as hard as I try to fight it, that like men wear ties and women don't. And it's so ridiculous. Yeah. I realize that.
Yeah, I started changing on my website things just saying adult or child and not necessarily women's, men's, whatever. Yeah. Just like they started like this whole women's tuxedo thing. It's like, it doesn't matter whether it's women, men's. You can just refer to it as a cut. You don't have to like give it a gender, you know.
Right. Yeah. I think programming that out of ourselves or out of myself is something that I'm still working on. Just calling something what it is. It's a suit or it's a tie. You also plan events for small businesses and nonprofits, as you said. And what kind of brought you to starting that company?
Always loved planning events, and it was always kind of a dream of mine, at least for like I'd say the last 10 years or so. I've always been into that, even when it was just like throwing dinner parties and stuff. And then when I started working, I started on HR and I started working for a hospitality company. So, you know, even though I didn't work in that realm, I really got even more so the bug, seeing the beautiful food they would create and the experiences they would create. And I started doing events on the side, and I was doing like bar mitzvahs and Lower Marion or baby showers and all kinds of things like that. And it hadn't really, this whole corporate events world hadn't really occurred to me. That this when I thought of an event planner, well, it's always like weddings and baby showers and personal events. And then I had took some courses at Temple. They have like an event planning certificate program. That's when I really started learning about the corporate event world and how like actually planning a meeting is an art to it if it's done correctly. And so I had left my job in HR, and fast forward to like a couple years, I was working as an events consultant, but under another firm or company. And then after a year, that was cool. And then I was just like, well, I think I can do this, you know, I can start my own company. And so I decided to do that, just do it under my own company and be able to do my own thing. And I've been doing that for like a year. Well, it'll be 2 years in January, so.
Yeah, good for you. Congratulations. I love that, you're always looking for different ways to express your creativity. And when we first met, gosh, I think it was like 3 years ago at that Pop One coffee shop. Yeah.
That I missed so much because of COVID. But.
Right. Yeah. It's a great place to do your banking and then also to work. That's not a paid plug. It just happens to be. We like working there. That, you were talking about, all the different things you're doing and you weren't sure what you were going to continue. And now you feel so much more like this is what I'm meant to be doing. This is what I was always meant to be doing. And it feels much more a part of who you are than what you were doing before. So I really love that you were able to like start your own company and still be able to do this through COVID and figure out ways to like pivot. Have you like, with your event planning, how has that changed during COVID?
So I think like a lot of things, it's become virtual. So I still have events, but they're virtual. And so, there's definitely a learning curve with the virtual events. I think not just with me, but we're all trying to learn how to make them as efficient as possible. Another learning curve is that when you have multiple clients that want to use multiple platforms. So there's been a lot of, researching and a lot of demos, and ultimately sometimes the decision is not mine. The client goes with what they want to do or what they can afford or whatever. So
yeah, but I mean, at least you're there to like support your clients. You're still able to help coordinate that experience for them.
It has its pros and cons to it. Tomorrow I have an event and there's like, it's a conference, it's like 8 hours long. There's 3 sessions going on at each time slot. Well, it probably is a lot easier to sit here at a computer and run the whole thing than it, the in person when I, all the setup, the breakdown, the cleanup, and all that kind of thing, and all the different vendors that you're managing. You don't have to do that, but then you're also constantly, putting out fires because, people, it doesn't matter how many demos you offer, everyone can't make them, you know what I'm saying? Or people still don't get it. And so there's just a lot of like, oh, let me go over here and help you with this, going in and out of windows, things like that. So I don't know that one is better than the other from a planning perspective. From an attendance perspective, I would rather an in-person event. But as a planner, I think that, they end up balancing each other out because there's, just pros and cons to both of them.
Yeah. I think there's a lot more technical side when you're doing it entirely virtually. Not that there's not technical in person, but that's a technical you're kind of used to. And this is a whole new adaptation. So I wonder how this will move things forward. Like, I wonder if a lot of events will still have a virtual element moving forward.
I think that you'll have some hybrid. People are already doing hybrid events where there was some virtual, some not. Just because, like, you can then, it's limitless who can come get the talent. Get the content. So I think people will still definitely stick with virtual events. But I think that once we're able to have in person, you'll see them a lot less. I think people will just be so over that there'll be a surge in person, and then
absolutely,
it'll balance back out, and it'll be a little bit of a mix, like it already kind of was. But as soon as we get in person, it's going to be on Zoom.
Yeah. What I love is like this sewing room that you have behind you. Is this where you create some of your beautiful ties and masks?
I create all of them here. And then I work here too. I have like this makeshift desk right now, but I'm ordering like a nicer desk to work at.
Yeah.
But I just call it my studio space. I kicked my husband out of it during quarantine. We used to share it. He used to be over there where the print is. And then like us being on calls at the same time didn't work. So then we just took a guest room into an office for him. But this is where I do everything everything's mirrored. The bed is my baby lock sewing machine that I got that I'm very excited. It's fairly new. It's like top of the line sewing machine. It's like the Cadillac of sewing machines to a certain extent. Nice. It's kind of a little messier than I normally keep it. I keep it usually really neat.
No, I love creative space being what it is. I think, part of what I love to talk about in the show is like, how are you, where is the kind of spaces that you're creating from? And I think during COVID, we've had to become more creative about the spaces that we carve out to create in, because there's kind of less available to us. We don't have much space available to us outside of our homes. So figuring out how to create and create the environment that you need for that creativity, I think is really important, especially for our mental health.
I definitely think that I've, over COVID, I keep hitting this table and making the camera shake. Over COVID, I definitely have learned how to make spaces more efficient because I didn't have any choice. I'm like, I got to be able to do what I have to do, and then I need to be able to put on my laptop and do, video calls and meetings too, and be comfortable.
Yeah.
So, it can be a little costly because you're constantly saying, oh, I need this for this to really work, and whatever. And then, things that you thought were like really, I'm sure in your work, you're probably changing things at home all the time. Things you thought were like so cute. When you got them, you're like, this isn't efficient. So then you're like, I got to get rid of this. And then Jimmy's like, we just bought it like a month ago. And I'm like, it doesn't fit. And I need to be as comfortable as possible, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
be able to do my work. So.
Yeah. It highlights, I think, for a lot of people, what really matters about what we surround ourselves with. I think a lot of times previously people were just consuming for the sake of consuming. They were buying things that they liked or they thought would work for them. And now we're recognizing, I think, more the criteria that we need to create about what we're consuming, about what we're purchasing, but about what we're surrounding ourselves with, and how that's really facilitating all the things we need to do, which I think is me just rephrasing really what you just said.
Now, I always I garden, have plants, but I've definitely gotten more plants. And so it's been, like we were talking about earlier with the anxiety and just mental health things, I've put more focus on things that are calming and relaxing in my workspace. So I like the plants because it's life. And, I've, have started, I always loved candles, didn't necessarily have them in my workspace. They would be like in the living room, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now I'm just like buying candles, for, my workspace. So when I feel a little like, oh my God, overwhelmed with all that I have to do, I light the candle. Where this curtain opens, there's a skylight. So if I open that, it gives me a lot of sunlight. And sometimes I'll literally just sit at the top of the steps and it feels like I'm outside and close my eyes and get vitamin D or whatever. So I definitely have learned to appreciate and focus on things like that help me stay calm and relax and things like that.
Yeah. I love that you're able to find ways to still get what you need. Yeah. So April, I know you do a couple different things. What is the way, or how is it that you want people to connect with you? What's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
They can follow me on Instagram at April Burk, or you can connect with me on LinkedIn on April McKellar Burks on LinkedIn or April Burks on LinkedIn. So you can always shoot me a message if you want to connect, because if you don't and I don't know you, I will not accept the LinkedIn connection. But my Instagram is public, so you can always follow me on Instagram if you want to stay connected.
Yeah. Nice. Excellent. Well, thanks, April. I appreciate you sharing your creativity with us today, and I'll talk to you soon.